All right, cool. Are we good now? Let me know in the comments, guys, if we good. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for that. YouTube world. Uh, Everybody on Instagram, make sure you type in the comments where you typing in from. We're gonna get into it, man. Like I said, tonight we definitely got a good one. We're gonna be talking about how to remove anything from your credit reports. All right, cool beans. Let's go. All right, so let's address the so-called elephant in the room, right? We all know as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, how important your credit is to your overall ability to get funding, right? Oh, my guy Santana tapped in on IG tonight, man. He usually on the tube, man. Welcome. Trey 4 in the building. But we as entrepreneurs and business owners, we know how important credit is overall when we're trying to get funded, right? Now, a lot of people argue you shouldn't start a business with credit, and to a certain extent, I do agree. You need some cash, you need some capital, you need some liquidity. You don't want to be all credit and no cash. But here's the problem: if you have cash and no credit, when the cash runs out, you basically are at a standstill, right? That happened to me. For those of you who've been to the master class, you guys know I started off in creative real estate wholesaling. Was doing deals, running 100 miles per hour, didn't have access to credit, didn't understand credit, and I quickly ran out of money sending letters, postmarking letters, putting stuff in the post office. So you can run out of money as a business owner. But here's the beautiful thing about when you actually have access to business capital, business funding, business credit. It's hard to run out of business credit. Here's what I mean. You could essentially go to any bank in your state, provided you have somewhat of a established business repertoire, right? You've been established on the Secretary of State. You've at least established some type of gross sales, right? You've made some sales, maybe not a lot, maybe it could be less than 50,000. And you have, let's say, a 720, 740 credit score. There's a pretty probable chance, a high probable chance that you could go to any bank in your state and get some funding, some type of funding, a business credit card, business line of credit, business term loan. Some type of funding is available to you just from having an LLC, having an EIN number. Even if you never established a business profile, you can get some type of funding. Now, with that said, cash does run out. So that's why I say credit is the ultimate lever. It's the ultimate way to leverage. Now, I just watched a video on YouTube earlier. A guy out in the UK, an ads coach, business ads coach. And he said something in this video that was very powerful. He said, you could come up with an unlimited marketing budget, right? An unlimited marketing budget. Now think about this. We're gonna get into the credit repair. I know a lot of you like, where are you going with this? We're gonna get into the credit repair. Please stay tuned. But I need you to understand the power of having access to capital, understanding credit, and if you have negative items on your credit, why you need to address this ASAP. The economy is changing. Things are going to be coming available. Opportunities, real estate opportunities are going to come available. Buying businesses is going to be coming available. Opportunities are here. And if you're not in position, you're going to miss the boat. But again, the guy was saying that basically you can have an unlimited marketing budget, right? Now, here's what I mean by this. And I'm going to explain what he said. He was saying that you take your business credit card, you pay for ads. Let's just say you doing YouTube ads, Google ads, right? So you use your business credit card, you pay for the ad, you sign up your clients, right? So let's say you have a service, you do mobile car detailing. You run your ads, you sign your people up for your mobile car detailing service, and then you use the revenue to pay off the credit card. That's not too far out of the realm of possibility for anybody watching this live stream. Okay, so now think about this. Now it gets deep. Now That's why I brought up this gold card. This American Express gold card gives you points. It gives you 4 points in certain categories that you spend the most. So 2 categories that you spend the most. Now, I use this gold card to run my YouTube ads, to run my Facebook ads, to pay for some of the operational tools, software, things of that nature, QuickBooks, etc. Now, let's say you're getting 4 points. You spend $1,000 a month on your advertising, your marketing. You should be budgeting marketing into your business. $4,000 times 4. That's basically 4 points times $1,000. That's 4,000 points a month just on ad spend. 4 times 12 is roughly 50,000 points you just got just from doing what you were spending money that you were already going to spend on advertising. That's why it's important to get your credit in position. That's why it's important that you guys take notes today and fix anything that's on your credit. All right. So I just wanted to kind of frame the conversation for tonight because for a lot of you, we've been having calls all week. I've been talking to a lot of you guys. A lot of you are up in arms about different parts of your personal credit. People are, saying things that are not necessarily true, what they heard, rumors, etc. So I just want to kind of get into how to actually structure going about removing negative items from your credit. So again, if you're watching this on the replay, make sure you take notes. For you guys, if you're on Instagram and you want to see my screen, you got to head over to the YouTube channel. All right. So let's kind of dissect 2 important parts of credit repair. There's 2 main avenues to disputing negative items. Now, here's what I will say. You have to have the mindset that you will not stop until the item that is reporting gets removed. Far too many people, when they start on their credit repair journey, or if they hire a credit repair company, right? What tends to happen is around month 2, they get antsy, right? You may have sent off your first dispute round. Some things may have came back verified. You may have sent off a second letter. How did you verify this? And then you stop. Well, my friend, usually that means that you didn't draft the right letter in the right sequence. Normally, if things are not coming off within 60 to 90 days, you didn't draft the right letter in the right sequence. Okay. Now, tonight we're going to be talking about collections, charge-offs, repossessions, things of that nature. How to get negative items removed from your credit. Charge-offs, collections. We'll get into late payment here this month. We're going to definitely talk about late payments as well. But tonight, we're just going to talk about third-party negative items. Okay, this can be collections. This can be judgments, charge-offs. Bankruptcy is a little different, but still nonetheless can be removed. I always like to tell people this, and I always say this at the masterclass when we get into the credit repair. Anything on your credit report can be disputed. It can be removed. There's no law that states that anything has to be reported on your personal credit. Your mortgage, your auto loan, your credit cards, all of that stuff. There's no law that says that Navy Federal, Chase Bank, Wells Fargo has to report that information to your credit profile. Now, last week we talked about building your credit profile and why it's important to establish it and have it solidified, right? So you do need a personal credit profile if you're looking to get funding, right? We know that 95% of all banks use the FICO scoring model to make their lending decisions. So that's a no-brainer. But there's 2 basic avenues and 2 basic forms of legislation that we need to be aware of. Now, here's the scenario. If, let's say, you have something on your personal credit, let's say you have a collection. I get this question all the time. Hey, I just want to pay. Should I pay? Maybe, maybe not. Now, most people say don't pay a collection. I'm not one of those people that say never pay a collection. Now, I do want to preface this by saying 95% of the time paying a collection will do nothing for you. But here's the deal. Let's say you had a cell phone bill. Let's just say T-Mobile, you owe $300-400 and it's reporting on your credit. You in the 700s. Let's say you had a 720. You got a $300 collection from maybe 4 or 5 years ago. and you're trying to buy a house. The only time I would recommend paying a collection is if your lender or your mortgage broker says, hey, go ahead and take care of this so we can, send it over to underwriting and you can close on your crib. If that's not the case, if you're not closing on a home, never pay a collection. That's my personal opinion. That's not advice. That's just me. If you can get into a home and that 400, 500, 600, if it's anything under 1,000, and the underwriter or the mortgage company says, hey, go ahead and take care of this so we can close on the home, pay it, and then we can worry about getting it off later. It's going to be harder, but you can get things off of credit. All right. So now that we kind of understand where we are, right? You have a collection. You have a negative item, whatever the case may be. All right. And tonight we're talking about collections and charge-off. Next week, we'll get into late payments. And then the week after that, we'll get into BKs, bankruptcies. All right. So you have a collection, you have a charge-off. There's two forms of legislation that you need to be aware of. You have the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and you have the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. You need to look these up. The FDCPA and the FCRA, Fair Credit Reporting Act. Now, a lot of credit gurus, they quote all these different forms of credit repair. They coach you on different things about credit repair, but here's where the rubber meets the road. When you understand the Fair Credit Reporting Act, when you read the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you can craft dispute letters based on your specific situation. So what I mean by that is, for anybody who's watching this, if you're in our 100K Blueprint program, you know how in our trainings, I teach you guys how to craft a dispute letter. Not all dispute letters are the same. You don't need a bunch of fancy lingo. You could talk in your normal voice. Hey, this is Audrey. I don't know what's going on, but y'all got me messed up. This ain't right. Take this off my credit. Remove this. You have to give certain instructions in your credit dispute letters, right? That's why a lot of you guys don't get things removed. You just print stuff off the internet. You can't do that, family. The credit bureaus, they have something what's called e-Oscar. E-Oscar basically means they assign a number. So basically what happens, you send a letter to the bureau, they open up the letter, they scan it in, right? When they scan it in, they're going to assign a number to it. Based on what that number is, they will probably discard the letter and then send you something back saying, hey, this is verified. If you get a certain number assigned, and we can't get into the numbers in the sauce, but let's say you get a certain number assigned, then it goes to a human who has to actually do the investigation. Remember, it is not on you, the consumer, to prove that anything is accurate or verifiable. You do not have to prove that you owe anything, right? They have to prove it if it's on your credit report. It is up to the credit bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. All right. Someone on Instagram said I always hit them with the additional information. Yes, that helps. But understand that you can draft dispute letters in your own language, in your own tone of voice. All right. And when you come to the masterclass, if you are in the VIP session, I can really break that down for you. If you're part of the 100K Blueprint, you hear me talk about this in the training modules. But that's what we have to kind of understand. Okay. The Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. Okay. So understand that. Now, with the FCRA, you have to understand that there's a method to the madness that the bureaus have to follow, right? So understand that when anything is reported to your credit, that means that the bureaus have already investigated it, okay? 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, they do not investigate it. Remember, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, they are for-profit entities, right? They are publicly traded companies. TransUnion is on the stock market. Equifax and Experian, they are publicly traded companies, meaning they're not ran by the government. They're not governed by the government to a certain extent. They do have the FCRA in place to hold them accountable and make sure that they stay in place. Now, that's good for us as a consumer. All right. So you have to use the Fair Credit Reporting Act. But what most people fail to realize is, aside from the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you have the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. So when you are disputing collections, charge-offs, that's what we're talking about tonight, right? Collections and charge-offs. There's a difference between verifying information and validating information. I'm gonna say that again. There's a difference between verifying information and validating information. You, as the consumer disputing anything negative on your personal credit, you want proof. You want validation. Again, that's why you have to get dispute letters that fit your situation. Okay. When you're sending off your first dispute, if you craft the letter properly, you should get things removed in that first or second, the 1 to 2 rounds. You should be, every 45 days, things should be coming off your credit report. All right. Now, you have to understand FCRA, Fair Credit Reporting Act. Cool. That governs the bureaus. But most times, what happens is, if you have a collection, if you have a charge off, anything like that, the FCF, Fair Debt Collection Practice Act, FDCPA, is your best friend. The Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. That's why you see a lot of people like, shout out to the homie Bobby, Mr. Credit Yourself. You see a lot of people now posting that they won lawsuits against certain bureaus, okay? Certain creditors, collection companies. So let's kind of break this down. All right, you have, let's say you owed $1,000 on a car and you stopped paying. The bank sent you to collections. All right. So if it's on your credit, you have to use the FCRA, Fair Credit Reporting Act. We all know this. This is all over YouTube, how to actually get things off with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. But most of you guys are not aware of the FDCPA. Now, the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act states that creditors have to validate debt. They have to show proof that you owe this. So what I want everybody to do, if you're watching this and you have a charge-off or collection on your credit report and it's holding your score down, send a letter to the creditor, a demand for validation letter. All right, and we're going to bring this up here in a minute. All right, so I'm going to pull up my screen. This is the letter that you want to be sending to the bureaus. And again, for those of you watching on IG, you're going to have to hop over to the YouTube channel if you want to see my screen. But this is the letter that you want to kind of draft up. Let me bring this up. Boom, boom, boom. Because what happens is when you don't send this letter to the creditor and you just send letters to the bureaus, what happens is you may get one collection off and then it comes back. You may get it off again and it comes back. The reason why it's coming back is because you didn't send this letter valid asking the creditor, the collection company, to validate the debt. So a lot of times what I tell people, if you're disputing negative items on your credit, send this letter before you even send anything to the bureaus. If you get a letter in the mail saying, hey, you had a $1,500 car note that went bad, we're actually trying to collect, this is an attempt to collect the debt, send this letter to them, right? All right. So let's kind of go through this. Let's dig through this, right? So you see here, you got, the account number and reference. Now, you want to make sure that you, that they record, get information put in, right? So if you change addresses, if you deleted any addresses off your personal credit, put the actual, whoever the collection agency is, put their information at the top of the letter, okay? All right, put the account number that they gave you, put all the information. Now, here's what I want to say too about the FDCPA, the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. If you're getting phone calls about debt, phone calls, they're saying, hey, you owe this debt, make sure they give it to you in writing. Say, hey, I'm not familiar with this. I've never heard about this. Can you give this to me in writing? Give it to me in writing. I need it in writing. Everything you do should be in writing. But this is your debt validation letter, right? To whom it may concern, please note my correct address at the head and foot of this letter. So make sure you put your correct address in there. The reason why you want to do that is because if they try to sue you, remember, credit is one thing, having negative items on your credit, but there's also collection and court. So they can take you to court if you do owe them, but you can still get it off your credit. All right. So I want to be clear on that. Right. So to whom it may concern, please note my correct address at the head of this letter. Right now, it says if you change the address, blah, 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 the mini Miranda, because they could forward the information to your old address. And then if they do take you to court and you never show up, you shot. It's a wrap. So make sure you put your correct information when you're sending these letters to the collection companies. Now, this letter is not going to the bureaus. I want to be clear. This is not a letter that you're sending to the bureaus, okay? This is not a letter that you're sending to the bureaus. This is a letter that you're sending to the collection company to make them show you proof that you owe the debt. All right? Now, one other thing to keep in mind, and I'm going to get into this probably next week, or we can get into it later. There is a statute of limitations on debt. And I'm going to talk about that when we're talking about this demand for validation letter. All right? So this letter is being sent to you in response to the letter received on whatever date that they gave you on the letter, right? So put the letter right there. This is a notice that your claim is denied and disputed. This is a notice that your claim is denied and disputed. So again, if you guys are watching this on IG and you want to see the actual letter that I'm reading, you have to hop over to either our Facebook group or you have to hop over to the YouTube channel. Someone said, what do I do if a creditor is sending me to court? You probably gonna have to show up to court and try to work out an agreement. If they're threatening you to go to court, make them prove that you owe. Send this letter that I'm showing you, but also make sure you go to the court. Make sure you go to that court date. All right, and ask for an extension. Ask them to grant you an extension. You don't need a lawyer for small claims court, so it depends on how much you owe, Tamika. But again, it says this letter is being sent to you in response to a letter received April, blah, blah, blah. This is a notice that your claim is denied and disputed. Under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, the FDCPA, I have the right to request validation of the debt you say I owe. All right. Again, Tamika, if they served you papers, you're going to have to go to court. You have to go to court. So I hope I answered your question. If they sent you court documents saying that you are being sued in the court of law, you have to go to that court appointment. This letter won't get you out of court. This letter is basically you're building your file for when you get ready to go to court. And if they can't prove that you owe the debt, they owe you some money. So again, you basically want to put in the letter, I'm requesting proof. I'm requesting proof that, one, I am indeed the party you are asking to pay this debt. Remember, plenty of people have common names. Christopher Johnson is a common name. If you've ever rented a home, it's not impossible that two Christopher Johnsons lived at the same address and rented the same property. Maybe Christopher Johnson A, he paid on time. He was always on time with his rent. Christopher Johnson B never paid his rent, and now the landlord is trying to collect on his debt. So again, if you're watching this on a replay, you got to come over to the YouTube to see the letter that I'm reading, right? This is a demand for validation letter. This is how you dispute collections, all right? So I am requesting proof. I am indeed the party you are asking to pay this debt. So prove to me that I am the party. Two, so it's saying I am requesting proof that, one, I am indeed the party that you are asking to pay this debt. Two, you possess original creditor documentation, business records with a full accounting using generally accepted accounting principles, charges, payments, interest. They have to show you proof that you paid on time and then you stopped paying, or that you had an account with the account number, okay? Charges, payments, interest, etc. of the amount of this debt that can be presented as evidence. Also explain and show me how you calculated what you say I owe. They have to show you that. They have to prove to you that they calculated what they say you owe. Because a lot of times that's never the case. You may have only owed $1,000 and maybe $300 in fees, but they want $2,000, $5,000, right? So, and then number 3, your claim is legally supported by a sworn affidavit from someone with personal knowledge of these business records. All right. Again, this is what you need to ask for. This is your debt validation letter. All right. 4, there is some valid contractual obligation which is binding on me to pay this debt. And you, as a debt collection agency, produce documentation from the alleged, right? And you can see that alleged is where it's kind of like, you're basically referring to the debtor or creditor, right? So you got to use the word alleged, right? Because we don't know. We're asking for proof. Nothing is set in stone at this point, right? So boom. Produce documentation from the alleged creditor authorizing you to contact me and pursue the collection of an alleged debt, right? Because a lot of collection companies, they just buy junk debt. They just buy debt. They buy a bunch of debt files and then they try to collect on it, right? They buy for pennies on the dollar. So you may have only owed $1,000. Verizon was trying to contact you. They couldn't collect on the $1,000, so they sold it to a collection company for $100. And now the collection company is still making you pay the $1,000. So boom. All right. Now you have to add these 5 points into your dispute letter. And I'm giving y'all this game. I mean, this is game right here. Make sure y'all write this down. Make sure y'all type this letter up. You as a debt validation company, right? So your legal staff will agree to the compliance with the request is required under laws of boom, whatever state and federal statutes. Also be advised that this letter is not only a formal dispute, but a request that you stop any all collection activities pursuant to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. You have to add that in there because they're going to keep coming after you. They're going to keep trying to serve you papers. They're going to keep trying to scare you. They're going to keep trying to threaten you to pay the debt. You need the demand for validation. This is always your first defense. Now, this is not the letter that you're sending to the bureaus. Yes, Queen B, yes, this is a service we provide, yes. This is not a letter, I want to be clear, this is not a letter that you're sending to the bureaus. This is actually going to whoever sent you mail, whatever collection company said that you owe whatever debt. Demand for validation. All right? Now, make sure in your letter that you put this. Also be advised that the letter is not only a formal dispute, but a request that you stop any and all collection activities. So that should stop the phone calls. That should stop all of the, harassment, whatever the case may be. All right. And that's just a basic dispute letter for demand for validation. Demand for validation. All right. Now, that letter is what you send to the collection companies, okay? That letter is what you send to the collections company. It says, hey, we can't see it. Not sure why that is, King. You should have been able to see that. Let's see. Cole said, what if the collectors are involved after the creditors stop trying to collect? If the creditors stop, so if it got sold to a collection company, then the creditors are out the picture at that point. I hope that helps. What if they're calling, not sending mail? If they're calling, remember, Nicole, if they're calling, remember what I said. If they're calling you, asking you to pay a debt or whatever the case may be, ask them to send it to you in writing. Now, you can also work out payment arrangements. But that's kind of, up to where you are financially. Because remember, the goal is to keep things off of your credit report. It's not to necessarily run off and not pay people. If you owe people, you got to pay them. It is what it is. If you owe them, you got to pay them. But if you don't owe them, or if it's outside of the statute of limitations, nothing they can do. They can try. And you have to know that. You can Google that. In every state, they tell you exactly what the statute of limitations is in your state for collecting on debt. It's in the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And I'm gonna throw that in the comments, the link to that PDF. But that's how we can kind of start the process. So typically what I would say, if you're going to dispute something, collection or anything, send off a demand for validation. Send that first, because that's going to ward off any frivolousness, right? That's going to ward off anybody who's not serious, anybody who's outside of the statute of limitations. If they're outside of the statute of limitations and they send you a letter, send this, and you probably won't hear from them again. Now, you're going to have to send a follow-up letter. I'm not posting a follow-up letter, but there is a follow-up letter if they don't respond. So remember, they have 30 days to respond. The bureaus have 30 days, quote unquote, to respond to this. Okay? Now, some may argue, hey, I just want to pay it and be done. Well, you have to keep in mind, remember what I said earlier. If your goal is to get funding for your business, 80% of business funding revolves around your personal credit. Having negative items, it can be you can get funding, right? There are banks, TD Bank. If you have a bankruptcy on your personal credit or a collection charge off, as long as you don't owe them, and as long as it's been 5+ years. So if you had a bankruptcy and it's older than 5 years, then they'll basically look at other things and maybe you could get some funding. It's not always the case. So you have to be mindful about negative items, how long you've had them, etc. A lot of people just don't want to do credit repair, right? And to be honest, a lot of you guys are wasting credit repair agencies' time. And here's what I mean. I'm not calling out anyone specifically, but if you hire a credit repair company, you have to give them 90 days, family. You have to give them 90 days. This is not like magic. This is formal dispute round, letter 1, letter 2. There's a process to getting things removed from your personal credit. Give them 90 days, family. Stop calling them after a week. You signed up for credit repair on Monday. The following Monday, you asking what's the update. There is no update. There is no update. Stop worrying these credit repair companies, and they just got your file. There's no update. Wait. Give them 30 days. Give them 60 days. I always like to say that because a lot of people, I don't want to pay for credit repair. This credit repair company, they didn't get nothing done. No, you were just in a super, super hurry and you didn't understand the process. That's why I'm teaching you guys the process. You need to execute on this, right? So we saw the basic dispute letter, right? We saw the basic dispute demand for validation letter. All right, let me pull up the basic dispute letter. This is just going to be your basic of the basic dispute letter, right? And this could be in a few different you could pull it up in a few different format, right? You could use it in a few different ways, right? Does anybody have any questions on IG, Instagram, why we want to send this to the collection company first? I want to be clear on that, because if you send this to the collection company and you send the next letter that I'm about to show you guys to the credit bureaus, if the credit bureaus come back and say, hey, this is verified, and you send a demand for validation letter to the actual creditor that's reporting this to your credit, and they can't produce any proof, then how the heck can the credit bureau say that they verified and validated the information? It's not possible. So just understand there's a process. There's always something going on in the background. So if you are hiring a credit repair company, let them do their job. If they're reputable, if they've proven that they get results, if they've shown that they do their job, understand that nothing is guaranteed, but let them do their job. A lot of you guys are paying for credit repair with things on your credit that really, honestly and truthfully, honestly, I'm gonna keep that. All right. So understand that the first line of defense is sending a demand for validation letter to the actual creditor. So if it's a bank, if it's a third party collection, that should be your first line of defense, the demand for validation letter. Now, let's pull up the JAB letter. All right. And this is just a letter. NY Bell 35. I'm explaining it now. So you probably have to go back and watch the replay. Or hop on over to the YouTube channel. But ask what's your specific question? You said explain how to do it on my own, please. I'm explaining it. That's what the live stream is about. So let's pull up this letter is what you send to the bureau. So basically, anytime you're disputing the collection, you want to send a demand for validation letter to the collection agency or the third party debt buyer, and then you're gonna send this jab round, this first dispute, to the credit bureaus. All right. Now, caveat, some people say freeze all your secondary bureaus. You don't necessarily need to freeze them, but it won't hurt. It won't hurt to freeze your secondary bureaus before you start this process. Because you can send these letters off and then freeze them. So you could get these letters in the mail tomorrow and then Monday freeze all your secondary bureaus. You don't necessarily need to do that first to do what I'm teaching you guys. All right. Is this good stuff? Is this good? Nicole said, do you have a follow-up letter for the VIPs in your masterclass? Yes. So if you purchase a VIP ticket, you get the 40 plus dispute letters. So you get the whole templates. You get all of the dispute templates. Liz said, what do you mean freeze the secondary bureau? So there are 5 secondary bureaus, right? So you have your main 3. You got business, I'm talking about business Equifax. You got Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Those are the main 3 bureaus that most people have heard about. But there are secondary, lesser known bureaus that most people are not aware of. It's going to be SageStream, right? SageStream, CoreLogic, Innovis, LexisNexis, and I always forget the 5th one. Innovis. Check Systems. Check Systems is kind of a gray area. It depends. Todd says, should I send a certified with signature required? I would send a certified letter to the first letter that I showed, Todd. If you're sending a demand for validation letter, yes, I will send that with confirmation. I will send that first. I will send that with confirmation. So I will pay the $5 for that. But if you're sending letters to the bureaus at this point, you don't need the certified. You don't need it certified. If you're sending letters to the bureaus, if you're watching this on the replay, if you're sending letters to the bureaus, the credit bureaus, you do not need to send it to the bureau certified. Now, there is a little hack and a little trick because a lot of these bureaus, they trying to pull the spin around on you. So they basically saying, sending you letters back saying, hey, we know you're working with a second party, third party credit repair company, and this letter is not real and It's a stall tactic. So there is some piece of language that you need to put into your actual dispute letter. What up? What's going on, Ivory? What up, fam? So freeze the secondary bureaus, but you don't need to do it right away. You can do it after you get these letters typed up and in the mail. Liz said, how do you freeze the secondary? You just go pull your file up. So if you go Google Innovis, INNOVIS, if you just Google Innovis, pull your file information up, and then it'll be a checkbox that says, do you want to freeze this? Or you can call them. So if you Google CoreLogic, Innovis, SageStream, Check Systems, and LexisNexis, you can call them and actually do it over the phone too, Liz. You can do it over the phone. So that's how you would do that. So we got to freeze the 5 secondary bureaus, but you don't need to do it right away. Shonda, great question. So I'll put this up. If you want to join the one-day masterclass, you have to head over to and text the letters EZ to 980-825-4360. Again, text the letters EZ to 980-825-4360. The VIP tickets, that's where you get the credit dispute handouts. That's where you get the 2 extra hours of Q&A and coaching, where you can ask questions. We can really deep dive into how things are being reported on your credit, because there is a factual dispute part to removing things from your credit. We're not going to necessarily get into the factual disputes in this series over the October, but at some point I'll put out a video on it. Question. Somebody said, what if the credit bureaus have your name wrong? How do you fix that? Vanessa, I believe you came to one of our VIP sessions before, but if not, there's a letter that you can send basically saying that you want to update your personal information. So just send them a letter, say, hey, this is my only name, my only employer, my only address, etc. So you can send that to all 3 credit bureaus. Just send them a letter. All right, so we know how we going. We know how we moving when we're disputing the collection with the creditor. We know how we moving when we're disputing the collection with the creditor. All right, so let's talk about how to actually craft a dispute letter to send to the bureaus. All right, so here's the letter that we need to send to the bureaus. If this is good stuff, man, type good stuff in the comments, man. So type. If you're on YouTube, type good stuff in the comments. If you're on Instagram, type good stuff in the comments, man. If this is helpful. And I'm going to share my screen, because this is the letter that we want to send to the bureaus. And honestly, this letter can be, you can send this, Vanessa, you were asking about how to update information. You could actually probably send this letter to the bureaus too. All right. So again, IG, if you want to see my screen, you have to go over to YouTube. It's the same name. Speak Sakia. It's the same name. carolinasOWNN. Same name. carolinasOWNN. Spelled exactly the same. All right. So now we're sending a letter to the bureaus. Okay. Sending our letter to the bureaus. When you send a letter to the bureaus, make sure that you put the date. I would say backdate it maybe a week. Don't do a lot of people say 2 weeks. You can backdate it a week. So today is October the 5th. You can put last Wednesday's date. I wouldn't do more than 7 days though. Andres, what's going on, my friend? One of the realest real estate investors in the city of Charlotte, man. Good stuff. All right, cool. Thanks, fam. Thanks. Good stuff. I love it. But yes. This is the letter that you sent to the bureaus, the credit bureaus. All right. Now, remember, the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act, the first letter that we showed you, that's the letter that handles the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act portion of removing charge-offs collections from your credit. Next week, we're going to talk about late payments. Late payments are a little bit different. They're a little bit more tricky. Tonight, we're talking about collections, charge-offs. All right. The first letter you're going to send to the creditor. Now, this letter that I'm showing you now is what you're going to send to the bureaus. So, yes, you got to do some work. Yes, you got to pay for some stamps. It's worth it when you can get that American Express Gold card. And now you got unlimited marketing. You got unlimited marketing. And they're giving you 4 points per dollar you spend. And if you run YouTube ads, I'm going to give you some game. If you run YouTube ads, Google gives you $500 when you spend $500. So you basically getting $1,000 to spend on ads. It's wonderful. And they give it to you per Gmail account. So I just gave y'all a hack. Anybody needs some marketing money, get that American Express Gold card, spend $500 and you're getting $1,000 worth of ads. And that should get you in the game. But this is the letter you want to send to the bureaus. All right. So you got your name, your birthday, your social security number, right? Now, this letter reads kind of generic. There's some sauce that you got to put on this letter. You got to use your own tone of voice, but I'm going to read the letter anyway. So it says, to whom it may concern. Now here, I'm going to edit this. I'm going to say, what's going on, fam? Exclamation point. right? And then here I'm gonna say, y'all really playing with me. I looked at my credit report and didn't like what I found. Right? Sorry if I'm typing wrong. All right. You see how I'm using my tone of voice, right? I'm using my tone of voice. You have to put these things into your letter. Remember, there's something called Metro 2, E Oscar. E Oscar. Usually, if you're using a template, right? So if you just screenshotted the letter that I sent before I made the edits, if you try to use that letter, chances are that first round it's gonna come back verified. Because remember what I said, when you scan your letter in, they assign a number to it. So if you just took that template without the edits that I'm showing you, and you try to dispute some collections or whatever on your credit, 9 times out of 10, they're going to put it in a folder in a file way in the back office. They're going to send you back something saying it's verified, and then you're going to give up and say, all right, my credit is bad. It is what it is. They are hoping that you give up after the first or second round. Those first 2 rounds of trying to dispute something of your credit, the bureaus, the creditors, everybody's hoping that you just lay down and basically say, throw your hands up. But y'all with me, and this is how we rock. So you can say something like, what's going on, fam? Y'all really playing with me. I looked at my credit report and I didn't like what I found. I Googled something saying I have to send this silly letter asking for you to look into this, right? And then you could say something like, I understand mistakes happen, but your inaccurate information can hurt me in the future and cost me a job, dream house, car, blah, blah, blah. You can leave that in there. You can take it out. It's kind of up to you. But you see how I started off the letter. What's good, fam? Y'all really playing with me. I looked at my credit report and I didn't like what I found. I Googled something saying I have to send this silly letter asking you to look into this. All right. Now, one thing I always would say in your dispute letter too, add this to it. Please remove any names, addresses, employees listed on my credit profile that are not the following. I will add this to your credit dispute letters. Your first dispute round. All right. I've included proof of my address or letter with this. Now, this is good, but what you also want to dispute, right, is here. So instead of putting please remove, I would say please remove. Now, and this is important, remove, update. You have to put action words here. Dispute reason. There has to be a reason for your dispute. So please remove the following as it is inaccurate, right? And then just put something like inaccurate due to your name is spelled, inaccurate due to unverifiable. It's inaccurate due to whatever, right? And then just list out whatever it is. So that's how you would send a dispute letter to the bureaus. That's how you would craft your dispute letter to the bureaus. All right. And then you can throw in your sauce, all of that. Thank you in advance, blah, blah, blah. Sign it. You could do a printed signature, or you can just print it out and do a wet signature. But that's the basic dispute letter. That's what you want to send in that first one. Yep. Speak Sakaya. Yeah, she said, I do this for my clients too. It's true. I love it here. Yep. Absolutely. She said, Nicole Green said you started off gangster. That's how you gotta treat the bureaus like they're a big bully, man. You gotta do it. You gotta treat them like a bully. They the big bully on the block. You gotta fight them, man. But that's what I would do. That's how I would craft the dispute letter. And I would do this every single time. Every single time you dispute something with the bureaus, use your own tone of voice. Now, the first two rounds, when you get into your factual rounds, then you can use all your little fancy fair credit, FCRA, and all that mumble jumble stuff there. But the first two rounds, you want to make it as real as possible, because if you don't, it's just gonna go in. It's gonna go in the trash pile, and if it goes in the trash pile, it's gonna come back verified, and then you're gonna be upset, and you're gonna be saying that Carolina's own CBCA network didn't help you get anything removed off your credit. All right. So that's pretty much it. You have to understand the Fair Credit Reporting Act. You have to understand the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act to get any charge-offs and collections removed. That's the first place to start. Now, there are some follow-up letters. We've been rocking. If you come to the masterclass, if you are in the VIP session, you are going to get all of the dispute templates that go along with tonight's training. But I would say don't use dispute templates. Make them your own. Use the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Understand that the burden of proof is not on you. If I could give you any piece of advice, if you're fixing your own credit or if you're heading down a credit repair journey, make the bureaus do their job. Make the creditors do their job. The burden of proof is not on you. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't get flustered, scared. If they come for you. All right. Sakia said, I do this for my clients. It's true. I love it here. It works, man. It works. Nicole Green said, I love it. King said, when removing old addresses and jobs, can you call the bureaus over the phone? You could, King. Yes, you definitely could. You could do that. I just like sending letters. I like having my stuff in writing. Now, if it's inquiries, I would say call about inquiries. Inquiries is about the only things I would say. If you're going to dispute some inquiries, you can call them and get that done over the phone. But any questions? Anybody got questions about anything, man? Anything we didn't cover? Jay Brown said, I disputed collection over the phone and got deleted within 3 days. That's solid. That's what's up. Salute. Disputed that collection, got it off in 3 days. Nicole Green said, I just signed up for the VIP. I'm in there. I need my business and personal credit together. Yes, indeed. All right. That's what's up. Congratulations. Again, if you do want to attend the masterclass, it is free for general admission. VIP is $97 when you use code EZ at checkout. All right. So, and basically, honestly, I'm gonna be real. The VIP session is really like a family reunion, man. You get invited back. So if you pay for a VIP ticket, you're welcome to come back to another VIP session. It's really like a family reunion. We just chop it up. We go through strategies. That's where I dropped the 100K Wells Fargo play. I gave that play away at one of the VIP sessions back in June. One of the VIP attendees, Nicole, she ran the play. She got 40,000. Actually, she up 60,000, but who's counting, right? Any questions, man? IG, if y'all got questions about how to remove collections, charge-offs from your credit report. And remember, when you send these letters, write down the date, but also understand that debt validation is a big, I don't know if people are teaching this. You have to understand that you definitely want to send your debt validation letters certified. Send that certified, okay? And always draft it the way that I showed you guys. All right. Nicole Green said, not me, I'm next. Nice. All right, so good question, Todd. The next one-day masterclass is October 22nd, so it's a Saturday. So if you got, maybe 3 hours, 4 hours that you can carve out of your Saturday on October the 22nd, I would highly recommend tapping in. Even if you come to the general admission. In the general admission, we break down credit repair. We teach you the basics of it, right? Everything we talked about tonight. How to craft a dispute letter. I'll probably do a video on that, just the anatomy of a dispute letter. I kind of broke it down tonight. So, Speaks Kia said, do you focus more on personal credit or business credit? Mostly we talk about helping entrepreneurs get business funding, business credit. But personal credit is kind of the first layer. It's 80% of it, right? 80% of it is going to be based around your personal credit. We know this. But yeah, so we talk about it all. Business credit profile, how to actually establish business credit, the net 30s you need. We do it all. IG, I don't see any questions on IG. Y'all put them in the chat. No questions. All right, cool. So again, family, I just want to reiterate, if you would like to attend our next one-day business funding made easy masterclass, it goes down October the 22nd. General admission starts at 10 a.m. VIP starts at 9. Text the letters EZ to 980-825-4360 to get registered, to make sure you're in the building for the next one-day business funding masterclass. It is a free event for general admission, and VIP tickets are on sale. So other than that, hopefully this was valuable. I want to make sure that, we always come in with the value. Speaks Akia said, thank you. This was great. I'll be hitting you up for a collab if you're open to it. Great info. Absolutely. Let's do it. Collaboration over competition. You better believe it. Nicole Green said, she just put a bunch of emojis. We winning. We winning. We winning. We winning. But that's it, family. I hope you guys got some value from this. Make sure if you're watching this on IG, go back on the channel, read those letters, craft those letters, get them in the mail tomorrow. Do not wait. If you're watching this tonight, I would stay up tonight and just create all my dispute letters and get them in the mail Friday. I would just print them out. I would do it. It's important. Cole Green said, great stuff, good stuff. Yeah, man. So next week, we're going to be talking about how to remove late payments, how to dispute late payments, the sauce on late payments. And if you guys got any specific questions, if you're watching this on YouTube, comment underneath this video. Comment underneath the video. I know tonight's live was a little longer than normal, but I wanted to make sure we touch on these things, because a lot of gurus are telling you that your personal credit doesn't matter. They're lying to you, family. Now, even if you have personal credit challenges, that should not stop you from getting funding for your business. And what I mean is that should not stop you from building the profile. Y'all know I came in the game with that, showing you how to build the business credit profile in 30 days or less. But that's not going to get it in the long run. That's a short-term fix. If you're trying to get 100, 200, 300, 400, 500,000, you got to have a personal credit attack. You got to optimize it. We show you how to do that at the masterclass. So again, I don't see any questions. Okay, Jay Brown said, should I delete, close, authorized user accounts off my personal credit? Yes. So if you were added on an authorized user account and it stopped reporting, is that how are you saying the authorized user that you were on, they closed the account? If that's the case, then yes, I would try to get it removed. I would just use that same basic dispute letter, just say, hey, that account is not mine. So I'm gonna pull that back up because that's a good question. So let's say in that basic dispute letter right here, you will put please remove the following as it is not my account, right? Something like that. Or you could just say inaccurate. I'm sorry. You could just say inaccurate. All right, boom. So you could do something like that, Jay Brown. But that's what I would do. I would just dispute it as inaccurate, say that they need to remove it, whatever the case may be. All right. IG has left the building. YouTube, I appreciate y'all for continuing to rock with me. And as always, family, if you would like our team to help you get your first or your next $150,000 to $200,000 in funding without having to pay for credit repair, without having to walk into a bank, and without having to show tax returns or bank statements, make sure you tap in with us. Make sure you get on our call. You can text the letter CBCA. So you can text CBCA, or if you're on Instagram, you can put it in the DM CBCA to set up a call with our team to learn more about your business, learn more about your goals for funding, and see if we're a good fit to work together. All right. So you can text the letter CBCA to 980-825-4360 if you would like our team to help you get more funding for your business, or if you would like our team to help you get some funding to get rolling. All right. So make sure you tap in with us, family. Absolutely, Jay Brown. If y'all watching this on the replay, definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button, family. I should have more likes on my likes. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to push the likes, man. We're trying to grow this channel, man. Y'all gotta start liking the content. But other than that, make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. And again, we'll be back next week talking about late payments, how to remove late payments, how you want to go about it, the framework around getting late payments removed from your credit. All right. So again, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like this content. It helps our content get out to a wider audience, family. And we'll see y'all back here next week. I'm out. Peace.